Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of News Tonight. I am Aishwarya Kapoor with you. In our big story, we'll be taking a look at India and also Kyrgyzstan signing 4 agreements, including one on defence. Also, we'll be looking at all the Wimbledon highlights. But first up, the headlines. India signs 4 agreements as Prime Minister Narendra Modi concludes a visit to Kyrgyzstan, underscores need to combat terrorism. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley sees hope in prospects of good rains and rising revenue collection, says 8 to 10% economic growth eminently possible. Rains disrupt life across North India. Amarnath Yatra and Kedarnath Yatra halted due to bad roads. European Union leaders start summit to debate Greek bailout proposal. Germany moots 5-year timeout for Greece from Euro if it doesn't submit to speedy reforms rollout. And India beat Zimbabwe in their second one-day international at Hazare, take an unbeatable 2-0 lead in 3-match series. Well, our top story, India and Kyrgyzstan signed 4 agreements today, including one on bolstering defence cooperation and holding annual joint military exercises. Now, visiting the Central Asian nation, Prime Minister Narendra Modi emphasised the need to combat terrorism during his talks with the president there. Here are the details.
On the second leg of his Central Asian tour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reached Kyrgyzstan. He was accorded a ceremonial welcome on his arrival in Bishkek. During his one-day visit, Modi held delegation-level talks with the Kyrgyz leadership.
My visit to all 5 countries in the region demonstrates the importance that we attach to a new level of relationship with Central Asia. We spoke at length about strengthening our relations in trade, investment, tourism, culture and human resource development.
The two sides signed 4 agreements in key sectors, including on cooperation in defence and culture. 2 MOUs were also signed for cooperation between the election commissions of the 2 countries and on cooperation in the spheres of standards, a move that will help economic relations. Modi emphasised the need to strengthen the defence ties and cooperation in combating terrorism during a joint press conference.
We have shared interests in combating extremism and terrorism that has become a threat without borders. Our defence ties are strong. We have just completed a joint exercise, Khanjar 2015. We have decided to hold joint military exercise on an annual basis.
The defence agreement signed is aimed at deepening bilateral cooperation in defence, security, military education and training. Modi also sought increased connectivity between India and the Central Asian nations in future.
Connectivity initiatives between India and Central Asia will boost our economic ties. I look forward to the launch of the telemedicine link with India. It is the first in the region and it tells us about the possibilities of the digital world.
Modi's last leg of the 8-day Central Asia tour will end with a visit to Tajikistan. The PM is likely to seek Tajikistan's cooperation against terrorism after External Affairs Minister raised the issue with the Tajik president during the SCO summit in September last year. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
Now, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley is confident that India's aspiration to cross the 8% growth target is now more achievable. Now, pinning hopes on rain gods to be kinder this year, he said a better monsoon would help check food inflation, including in pulses. He also said that rising tax revenues and improving macroeconomic fundamentals would take the economy to an accelerated growth trajectory. Take a look.
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has said that India is on a road to achieve up to 10% economic growth. He listed the government's economic reforms, policy changes and investment in key sectors like infrastructure as key factors in achieving the target sooner than later.
The reform process ongoing with some more significant changes like GST in the pipeline, increased infrastructural spending this year, emphasis on smart cities. When all these initiatives get down to the field, then India's aspiration to cross that 8% hub and get on to the 8 to 10% growth targets may be something which is not completely out of sight, something which may be eminently achievable.
Speaking at the 34th day of NABARD, Jaitley said growth in the indirect tax revenues by 14% in the first quarter of current fiscal year has given option to the government to spend more in infrastructure projects.
When the indirect revenue collection figures came out for the first quarter as a whole, they did indicate that customs duty, excise duty, service tax, even without additional revenue measures, were up 14.5% to last year. If you take the additional revenue measures, they were up 37%.
He said that the Department of Agriculture expects better rainfall in most parts of the country to result in higher production of oilseeds and pulses, which at the moment are a cause of concern in terms of inflation. He also promised massive investment in agriculture to mitigate rural distress and indebtedness of the farmers.
We are fairly clear about the fact that a large part of this additional investment will have to go into agriculture and to mitigating this rural distress and indebtedness of the farmer.
However, all eyes will be on the forthcoming monsoon season, when the government is expected to table some of its key reform bills on land acquisition and new taxation policy. While reports by parliamentary panels are weighted on the bills, the opposition seems united to thwart any attempt by the Modi government to see the land bill through in this session. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, heavy rains lashed North India, disrupting normal life in many states. Continuous rains caused waterlogging in many areas in Delhi, while non-stop rains were also reported in Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh. The annual Hindu pilgrimage Amarnath Yatra in Jammu and Kashmir was stopped due to bad weather conditions.
Heavy rains and waterlogging in Delhi for the fourth day in a row caused traffic snarls across the city. Although Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal claimed that waterlogging was comparatively less this year.
बहुत टाइम से पानी आ रहा है, बारिश हो रही, जाना तो दिक्कत हो रही, प्रॉब्लम कोई निकालने का काम भी नहीं हो रहा है, गाड़ी भी बंद हो जा रही है.
In Jammu and Kashmir, the annual Amarnath Yatra was halted due to inclement weather. Police officials said that heavy rainfall triggered landslides blocking the Jammu-Srinagar National Highway in Udhampur district. In Uttarakhand, many districts like Chamoli, Nainital, Pauri, Uttarkashi, Rudraprayag and Pithoragarh received heavy rains for the 2 days in a row. At least 2 people were killed in landslides triggered by rains. An alert was issued for Uttarakhand, where heavy rains are predicted for the next 2 days.
सर यही बंद हो जाता है और खुल जाता है, हम खोल देते हैं, इधर रेडी है, मशीन के साथ है.
और क्यों हो रहा बंद?
बंद सर मतलब बारिश की वजह से पूरा पत्थर है, सीपेज हो जाते हैं.
अच्छा, तो कितनी बार बंद हो गया
ये सुबह से ये हमारे 3 या 4 बार हो गया, 4 बार बंद हो गया.
Meanwhile, heavy downpour in the past 1 week damaged roadways and uprooted trees in Shimla in Himachal Pradesh. Continuous rainfall caused a flood-like situation in Uttar Pradesh, with several deaths being reported in the state and neighbouring Bihar.
यहाँ पे एक मकान की छत गिर गई थी, वो काफ़ी पुराना मकान था, लगातार हो रहे बारिश के कारण वो छत नीचे गिर गई थी, उसमें तीन बच्चियों की मृत्यु हो गई है.
The Met Department has forecast more rains in the next 24 hours.
मानसून का डिप्रेशन जिसकी वजह से ये सारा मौसम इतना हो रहा है, वो इस समय उत्तर पश्चिम भारत में मेरठ और दिल्ली के आसपास है. दिल्ली से लगभग 70 किलोमीटर पूर्व में है ये सिस्टम. तो इस वजह से अगले 24 घंटों के लिए उत्तराखंड, जम्मू कश्मीर, वेस्ट यूपी और हरियाणा, दिल्ली, एनसीआर, ये हिमाचल प्रदेश, ये 3-4 राज्य हैं जहां हमने भारी से बहुत भारी बारिश की चेतावनी जारी की है.
Worries of monsoon deficit have receded somewhat after the latest spell of rains. The weatherman has predicted a cloudy Monday, but rainfall activity is expected to decline. However, it's expected to gain strength again on Tuesday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
News from Bihar, where the former Chief Minister and Hindustani Awam Morcha Chief Jitan Ram Manjhi today demanded what he called a respectable number of seats in the upcoming assembly polls from the BJP-led coalition. Manjhi says that his party will be compelled to explore other options if the NDA failed to come up to his expectation. He said he would even consider an alliance with the Jan Adhikar party leader Pappu Yadav. Meanwhile, underscoring the good showing of the NDA in the local council elections, senior JDU leader K.C. Tyagi has said that the JDU-RJD alliance will need to work hard and closely with each other for the assembly elections.
2-4 दिन के अंतर्गत हम लोग सीटों पर बात करेंगे और पप्पू जी को भी एनडीए गठबंधन के साथ आने की चर्चाएं आप लोग सुना होगा। हम और पप्पू जी साथ में आ जाते हैं तो इससे राज्य में नीतीश कुमार और लालू जी के गठबंधन को तोड़ने में यानी असफल करने में बड़ी सुविधा होगी।
सत्ता में भोग करने के लिए नहीं, हमारे सामने सांप्रदायिकता निशाना है। सांप्रदायिकता को रोकने के लिए लालू यादव ने हर तरह का हमने कहा कि कोई भी कुर्बानी हम लोग करेंगे, क्या करेंगे, हम उनको आने देंगे।
And more news and updates from across the country in Nationwide. Security forces today foiled a major infiltration bid along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. They killed 3 militants in Keran sector of Kupwara district. The security forces were engaged in a gun battle with the suspected militants for at least a couple of hours near the LOC. Apart from the bodies, several arms and ammunition were also recovered from the spot. The website of Indian Space Research Organization's commercial arm Antrix was reportedly hacked. The space agency said efforts are on to set it right. The hacking comes 2 days after ISRO successfully launched 5 British commercial satellites on board PSLV C-28 from Sriharikota in its heaviest commercial mission so far. A key witness in the rape case against Asaram Bapu died yesterday after he was shot at by unidentified assailants in Shahjahanpur district. He was the 3rd witness in the case who was killed. In all, around 9 witnesses have been attacked in the case. Protests continue in Manipur over demands to implement inner line permit system. Despite curfew in Greater Imphal area, the agitators joined rallies organized by the Joint Committee on Inner Line Permit System. The police resorted to firing tear gas shells to disperse the unruly agitators. All right, in News Tonight, we'll take a very short break. Up next, we'll get you all the international news. In a major success against the Islamic State, US drone kills key leader Hafiz Saeed Khan in Afghanistan. That and much more after a short break. Welcome back after the break. Now, Pakistani authorities will not file a fresh petition seeking the voice sample of LET operator Commander Zaki-ur-Rahman Lakhvi in the anti-terrorism court hearing in the Mumbai attacks case. Now, the remarks by the prosecutor Chaudhry Azhar comes after India agreed to provide voice transcripts as evidence in the 2611 case. Earlier, lawyer of the LET commander Zaki-ur-Rahman Lakhvi, the main accused in the 2611 attack case, told a leading news daily that his client will not provide voice samples. According to media reports, under Pakistani law, the accused must consent to giving their voice samples. Now, this comes 2 days after Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif decided to discuss ways to expedite the Mumbai case trial in Pakistan, including sharing additional information like providing voice samples.
We should not expect much from his lawyer or from judiciary. We all know the Pakistani judiciary is dominated by the people. Most of the judges come from either Jamaat-e-Islami or they have sympathies for Jamaat-e-Islami.
Lakhvi is not giving his voice sample. It means who's supporting him? Is the law supporting him or Pakistan establishment supporting him? If the law is not supporting him, then we can say something. The Indian government can raise the ante. We'll go to the other higher forums. But if the law is supporting Lakhvi, we can do nothing about it.
Well, on to the big international story. European Union members gathered for a delayed summit on the Greek situation late on Sunday. But the leaders expressed mixed hopes of chances of opening talks on a bailout deal. The discussions are seen as a make or break summit for Athens. The creditors have sought further commitments that Greece will deliver on its promises in return for a third bailout funds.
Eurozone finance ministers resumed talks in Brussels on Sunday after 9 hours of intense negotiations failed to produce any concrete decision on the Greek bailout plan. The leaders are hopeful that a deal would finally be reached that is acceptable to all.
Ich glaube, dass man heute zu einer Einigung kommen muss. Es kann nicht sein, dass die Regierungschefs sich heute hier vertagen. Und ich gehe auch davon aus, dass es zu einer Einigung kommen wird. Es geht ja nicht nur um einen Deal hier heute, es geht um den Zusammenhalt Europas.
Here ready for an honest compromise. We owe that to the peoples of Europe, who wants Europe united and not divided. We can reach an agreement tonight if all parties want it.
European Union officials want Greece to go beyond the painful austerity measures accepted by Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras. The ministers are seeking further promises on product market liberalization, labour laws, privatization, state reform and more defence cuts, plus a promise to pass key laws next week. The Greek finance minister is trying hard to convince counterparts that his government can be trusted to push through the economic reform plan, but the biggest creditor, Germany, is not impressed. Germany has recommended that Greece take a 5-year timeout from the Eurozone unless it accepts and swiftly implements the tougher conditions. Few believe a mandate can be reached today, although expectations have been raised that the Eurogroup would give the green light to the new loan proposals by Athens.
Die Lage ist extrem schwierig. Einmal, wenn man an die ökonomische Situation Griechenlands denkt, auch an die Verschlechterung in den letzten Monaten. Aber auf der anderen Seite vor allen Dingen auch deshalb, weil die wichtigste Währung verloren gegangen ist und das ist das Vertrauen und das ist die Verlässlichkeit.
Il n'y a pas de Grexit provisoire ou pas, il y a un Grexit ou pas de Grexit. Ou pour parler tout simplement en français, il y a la Grèce dans la zone euro ou plus la Grèce dans la zone euro, mais à ce moment-là, c'est une Europe qui recule et qui n'avance plus. Et ça, je n'en veux pas.
Problem ist zunächst einmal, dass eine Situation, die gegen alle Skepsis in den zurückliegenden Jahren, ja bis Ende vergangenen Jahres sehr hoffnungsstimmend war, durch die letzten Monate in einer unfasslichen Weise zerstört worden ist, bis in die letzten Tage und Stunden hinein.
Early on Saturday, Tsipras won parliamentary backing for the tough reform package that more or less mirror measures previously demanded by creditors. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now an update on the Iran nuclear talks. Well, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov will join the talks after a hectic day of closed-door meetings that lasted for several hours on Saturday. The P5+1 group, which includes US, France, Germany, Britain, Russia and China, has extended talks multiple times in an attempt to break a deadlock on what could be a historic deal. It aims to end sanctions on Tehran in exchange for a series of checks and balances on its nuclear program. The 6 world powers have extended the deadline till Monday to reach a deal, their third extension in 2 weeks. While US Secretary of State John Kerry admitted that some of the sticking points remain, Iran has accused the West of throwing up new stumbling blocks to an accord.
با 6 قدرت جهانی صحبت کردیم و حرف زدیم که اگر مذاکره موفق نباشه دنیا به خوبی بدانه ایران اهل منطق بوده میز مذاکره را ترک نکرده.
Well, after making landfall in China, Typhoon Chanhom is now heading towards South Korea. Over 1 million people were evacuated from coastal China as typhoon hit Zhejiang province on Saturday. Air, rail and sea transport were resumed after Weather Department said that the typhoon had eased.
Typhoon Chanhom eased in China after bringing heavy rains, strong winds and forcing evacuation of hundreds of thousands of people on Saturday. The meteorological department said the typhoon is now heading towards Korea. Over 1 million people were evacuated from Xinjiang and Jinzhuang province as a precaution. Shaoxing city was flooded as rivers breached normal levels. The powerful typhoon also knocked out power and trapped nearly 20 families. No casualties were reported. Rescue teams were delivering food and water to trapped families. Air, rail and sea transportation also resumed after facilities were shut down ahead of the approaching typhoon. The typhoon brushed Shanghai late Saturday as it changed direction into the Yellow Sea. This is the second storm to hit China after severe tropical storm Linfa made landfall in southern Guangdong province earlier this week. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And some more international news and updates in Global Buzz. The chief of the Islamic State in the Afpak region was killed in a US drone strike in East Afghanistan. It was a major blow to the militant group that saw another top leader killed in an air raid 3 days ago. Now, Hafiz Saeed Khan, a top Pakistani Taliban commander who hailed from Pakistan's tribal region, was among 30 Islamic State cadres killed in Nangarhar district. Islamic State militants detonated a powerful car bomb outside the Italian consulate, killing a civilian and injuring 10 people. It was their first assault on a foreign mission in Egypt after Mohamed Morsi's ouster in 2013. The blast caused heavy damage to the Italian consulate and its surrounding buildings. The powerful explosion even ruptured underground water pipes, flooding the region. Pope Francis appealed to the world leaders to seek a new economic model to help the poor and shun policies that he said sacrifice human lives on the altar of money and profit. It was the second time during his trip to South America that Pope Francis, who is the first pope from the region, used a major speech to champion the rights of the poor. In Bolivia last Thursday, he denounced a new colonialism by agencies that impose austerity programs. Well, on to sports now. India beat Zimbabwe by 62 runs in the second ODI to take an unassailable 2-0 lead in the 3-match series. Now, chasing a tricky total of 272, the hosts kept losing wickets from the beginning and eventually lost the match. Zimbabwe could not establish a good partnership, although opener Chamu Chibaba scored a valiant half-century to give the host some hope. His wicket proved to be crucial as Zimbabwe lost steam from there. Now, hero from the first game, skipper Chigumbura, was dismissed for just 9 runs. Sean Williams and Sikandar Raza too departed for 20 and 18 respectively. For India, Bhuvneshwar Kumar picked up his 50th ODI wicket when he got rid of Chigumbura. Harbhajan Singh, Dhawal Kulkarni, Stuart Binney and Akshar Patel also were very economic, and they did not give away any loose deliveries at all. And from cricket to tennis, well, Sania Mirza became the first Indian woman to win a women's doubles title at a Grand Slam. Partnering Switzerland's Martina Hingis, Sania defeated the Russian pair of Makarova and Vesnina in 3 sets in women's doubles final at Wimbledon. Take a look.
From that list, Martina Hingis.
It was the top seed's first Grand Slam title, as the team having only decided to play together in March this year. And it was not an easy one either. Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis made a stunning comeback in the final set to win the women's doubles final. They came from a set down and 2-5 behind in the final set to beat Russian duo Ekaterina Makarova and Elena Vesnina.
To me, to come out here at Wimbledon, I mean, this is something that we dream of as kids. You know, I always say this, every kid that picks up a tennis racket talks about winning Wimbledon one day or playing at Wimbledon one day, and we feel, I mean, I think I'm speaking for both of us, we feel privileged to be here. You know, with the energy, when we came out at 5-all, I said to Martina, I mean, we had goosebumps, the energy on the court. I mean, we were getting a standing ovation. It was unbelievable, you know, and we both came out and I said to her, this is what we play for, this is what we work for, this energy. And that's how we played our best tennis, and you know, it means everything to be here today, and you know, and obviously I think to be the #1 team in the world is very special for both of us.
It feels definitely like on the side of Sania, it feels like living it all over again. I'm happy to be out here and play at Wimbledon grounds, and I mean, it's above my expectations, but I have a great partner to pull me through, you know. It's just like, it takes guts and courage, being 5-2 down in the 3rd set. I mean, couldn't have asked even for more drama how to win it, you know.
This was Sania Mirza's maiden women's doubles title at a Grand Slam. She had earlier won 3 mixed doubles at the majors.
It's a fantastic victory for Sania Mirza, her family, and the entire Indian tennis circuit. We've seen wishes pouring in from everywhere, and everyone's very excited about her first doubles win. I think it was it's a great achievement for Indian tennis, and for all those parents who think that it's a road that cannot be achieved, it's a milestone that no one can reach. She's proved everyone wrong. She's had the best support from Martina Hingis. We saw that in the match yesterday. She was the leader throughout and helped Sania navigate those rough waters even when they were down 2-5 in the match, in the final set.
For Hingis, this was her first title at Wimbledon after 17 years. The last title she won was in the doubles, partnering Jana Novotná back in 1998. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Success.
And more sporting action in Sports Beat. Roger Federer is looking to become the first man to win 8 Wimbledon titles as he plays defending champion Novak Djokovic in today's final. That match is underway, and Djokovic in fact has won the first set 7-6. Well, Federer currently shares the record of 7 wins with Pete Sampras. Djokovic had defeated Federer in the 2014 final for his second title. Both are logged at 6-all in Grand Slam wins. Real Madrid captain and goalkeeper Iker Casillas will leave the Spanish La Liga top club after 2.5 decades for FC Porto. Casillas became a hero for the club and the country in a glittering career when he won titles including 3 Champions League with Real and the World Cup and 2 European Championship trophies with Spain. Bayern Munich unveiled their 2 new signings, Douglas Costa and Joshua Kimmich, on Saturday before they took part in an opening training session. The Bundesliga champions presented midfielders Costa and Kimmich as they strengthen their side for the forthcoming season. Kimmich will hope to fill the void left by Bastian Schweinsteiger, who looks set to join Manchester United, while Costa will look to be among the goals next season. That's all in this edition of News Tonight, but before we go, there's something very interesting. Well, in its latest mission to visit the distant world of Pluto, NASA recovered some tantalizing signs of geology on that planet. Now, NASA's New Horizons spacecraft sent black and white images of Pluto's surface showing a complete terrain there, and that's very complex. The images could help scientists determine what Pluto's atmosphere is made of and also what the surface looks like. Take a look at these visuals as we take your leave. Good night.